Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. I found this article by The Sun and it has spun out from, of course, the Me That You Cannot See Apple documentary that Harry has done with Oprah herself. And yeah, just everything about it has my head spinning. He also covered during this whole tell-all unnecessary revelation, he covered how he felt about the British public mourning Princess Diana when she passed. Now, my mum was a major supporter of Diana and she did actually cry when she found out that she passed away. And I was young at the time, so I didn't really understand what was going on, but I understood that she was an important member of the UK. You know, she was a prominent figurehead. And it's just I just find it very insulting, really, that he would kind of have this misdirected rage at the British public for mourning his mother. So this article's by The Sun, and it says, "No justice. Prince Harry angry at British public for mourning Diana, saying you never even met her." Harry has revealed he was angry at the British public for mourning Diana because they never knew her. The Duke of Sussex opened up about the pain of the death of his mum, who died in a car crash in August 1997 when he was 12. It just seems to me as though, and this is just my own independent thoughts, that Harry really needs serious help. And I know that he's confessed during the docuseries that he had intensive therapy and he went to see multiple people, alternative therapists. He probably even went to see the odd shaman or two, all under the direction of Charles, because I do believe that Charles and the Queen and his brother, of course, who has also admitted to having help in therapy to deal with the passing of their mum, Harry just needs more help. Harry needs to see more therapists. Harry needs to really understand the source of his trauma, and it's not members of the British public like myself. It's not, because everyone has a celebrity who they love and adore and feel that they know and feel that in their head, in some kind of weird way, they would be good friends with that person. Everyone has, we tend to have a weird relationship with people that we watch on screens all the time, right? So for him to kind of attack the British public for showing empathy for him as a child and to feel distressed because they felt that Diana was a lady who touched many people's lives. She was iconic in so many ways, and she was a loved human being. She was a real humanitarian. Yeah, she had her flaws and she had the drama and she had the difficulties with being in the public eye herself and being in the firm, but all of that mainly stemmed from the fact that she had what she felt a loveless marriage, right? So Harry just needs to put his sock in it. He really does. That's all I can really say, because it's an unnecessary frustration. And I think that Harry wants to blame William. He wants to blame his father. He wants to blame the Queen. And I can see how he burnt through so many therapists. There are some people out there who are really beyond help. I can only imagine the millions and millions of pounds from public funding that was spent on Harry's mental health improvement and mental health support, which the average person doesn't have access to, and the amount of sympathy presence that he would have gotten from Charles, and the kind of, consolation type sympathy and the attention. I definitely feel as though William is a stronger character because of course he knew that he was one day going to sit on the throne, and he had such a fragile, disturbed younger brother. And William still has to persevere. He was actually out today in Scotland, fulfilling his royal duties, just getting on with the job, right? Just trying to get on with the job, even though the investigation into how Martin Bashir obtained that very tragic interview that Diana done has, still not really been settled. And Harry has now come out with this Apple TV documentary, which is essentially a slight on the whole royal firm. William is carrying on, and that's what I like to see. That's what we like to see as, people who are spectators on the ground. We want to see perseverance, endurance, and strength, because through it all, even though their lives are very much not perfect, they are privileged people, and they are privileged to be able to do the job that they do, and to carry out the life work that they get to carry out, and to live in the style that they live in. All of the freehold land and the property and the wealth is still very much a big factor into why Harry was so disliked by the British public, and why Meghan was deemed as so ungrateful by the British public. Anyway, I'm going to continue on. So he said during the docuseries, when my mum was taken away from me at the age of 12, I didn't want the royal life, sharing the grief of my mother's passing with the world. For me, the thing I remember the most was the sound of the horses' hooves going along the mall. It was like I was outside of my body and just walking along, doing what was expected of me. I was showing 1/10 of the emotion that everybody else was showing. This was my mum. You never even met her. I was so angry with what happened to her that there was no justice at all. Nothing even came from that. And then there's imagery here of Oprah crying as she listens to Harry's droning on. That's all I can really say. Harry also revealed that members of the royal family told him to just play the game and your life will be much easier, before he left for the United States. And he said, but I've got a hell of a lot of mum in me, he said. So you can see that Harry feels like he's some kind of Diana and Mockingjay reincarnate, that he's going to fulfill his mother's wishes to trash Charles and trash the firm and bring them all down. And I think that's how his mind has interpreted it. He also confessed during this docuseries that during his therapy, his chronic counselling that he's had, and apparently he continued to have even after meeting Meghan, because she wanted him to have therapy, which is a sign that she knew he... Okay, I'm just going to say this. I know that love can take many forms, and you can love anybody, right? You can love someone even if they're broke, even if they are from a different religion and your family wants you to marry someone from the same religion. You can love anyone under any circumstances. But to willingly embark on a relationship with someone who you feel needs a lot of mental health support and who is not stable in themselves, I would be worried about beginning a relationship with someone like that, not because I feel as though someone who has mental health issues is not good enough to date, but I would want it to be the right decision for them. Do you see what I mean? Like, I would see that person as a vulnerable person. I'd be like, right, I'm into this person, I really like this person, but I don't want them to be with me because they feel that for now I'm a substitute for what they really need. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So I wouldn't want them to treat me as a substitute for the help that they need to get, or to see me as their kind of therapist or counselor, or someone who can fix their issues immediately because I've come into their life. So you can see that Meghan consciously went into this relationship with someone who she knew was going to be easy to manipulate, younger than her significantly, and very fragile emotionally and very confused about who the real enemy is. Harry needs to realize that there is no enemy. There is no enemy outside if there's no enemy within, right? And it's not Charles's fault that Diana passed. It's not William's fault. It's not the Queen's fault. It's not the British public's fault. He has to really look in the mirror and realize that no matter how many therapists he sees and how many people he tries to make feel bad, he just intrinsically feels really bad, and he is upset about losing his mother, but it's something that he has to kind of put in a box. And Charles said it to him. That's what he confessed. Charles said, well, you know, I went through this and I had to live in the public eye, and this is what we do, and just get on with it. You know, the family tried to use every logical kind of box, but it seems as though Harry was just simply uncontainable, right? So he said here, I was just all over the place mentally. It was a nightmare time in my life. Every time I put a suit on and a tie, and I went over this in another video, it was embarrassing. Everyone's looking at me. One bead of sweat feels like the whole face is pouring down, just sweating. And obviously he's talking about his relationship with the media, but this is Harry talking to Oprah. I mean, it's hard to believe it. For the second time, okay, on a monetized docuseries that he, of course, wants everybody to stream and watch and sign up to Apple TV so that we can see this. And it's mind-boggling. So he says here, also strapped in the car, seatbelt across, with my brother in the car as well. And that's the person that he always forgets. He acts like he's the only person who's been through this trauma when William has been by his side all along, up until now. And mother driving and being chased by 3, 4, 5 mopeds with paparazzi on. She was always unable to drive because of the tears. There was no protection. Now, there are a lot of rumors that, you know, basically speculate and, you know, say that Diana used to have a very kind of intense relationship with the paparazzi. Sometimes she would be calling them and giving them tip-offs, like when she was on that yacht and she was performing for them and giving them the money shots, right, that they so desperately stalked her for. Harry doesn't understand the full picture. And I think that he's still looking at the whole situation from the eyes of a 12-year-old boy. But with all that being said, yeah, that's the end of the video. Harry doesn't have a right to essentially try and slam and slash and trash the British public for just showing their mourning and, you know, sharing and empathizing with him and loving Diana for who she was, for what they got of her, for what they saw in the newspapers on the screen. There's nothing you can do about that. You know, let us mourn. We all felt something, right? So with all that being said, I'll be back with another video. Bye, guys.